Hello, welcome to week one training video. Opening weekend last Saturday, May 11th, and had quite a few good plays happen. Saw a lot of good things with the officials, as always. Always plenty to learn from. Had 15 plays here. Tried to move quickly. As always, these are not intended to demean or belittle anybody, any athletes, coaches, officials, fans. Anything like that, it is strictly for educational purposes. That being said, let's get going. On play number one, we start off with a targeting right off the bat. Quick review on targeting. We've got Rule 913, which is the hit with the crown of the helmet. I can hit you anywhere in the body with the crown of my helmet if I'm using it as a weapon and actually targeting you. I can hit you in the stomach, in the back, in the side with the crown of my helmet. That would be 913. 914 would be hit to a defenseless opponent in the head or neck area. A quarterback in a sliding posture, a quarterback in a passing posture, a defenseless or receiver going up for a pass, someone who cannot protect themselves. A hit in the head or neck area on one of those would be Rule 914 targeting. Look for an indicator such as a crouch, an upward thrust, a launch, things like that. This is semi-pro. They don't have the same luxury as replay, so really try to make it big. If you're not 100% sure on the targeting, at least get a flag down for unnecessary roughness, and at least get a flag down for that. If we're 100% sure on targeting, let's go ahead and nail it. This first example here is actually, believe it or not, an example of both. You have a hit with the crown of the helmet. He launches, leaves his feet, and he also hits the guy directly in the face. And he is a defenseless pass receiver. So this one covers 913, 914. This is a great job getting flags down. We had several of them. Player was ejected. No argument from anybody. So good job on this one. You see he's already targeting him. He's taking aim right now. He knows what's happening. And right here, you see how he leaves his feet, launches upward. Those are ones we got to get, and we do. Good job. I think we had 3 flags. I see at least 3 go landing in there, so excellent job. These next few plays, we're going to talk about the blind side block. Got a couple of examples of what are good no calls or not fouls, and what actually are fouls. So on this first one is an example of a player who had the chance to light somebody up, decides not to, so it would not be a blindside block. This is something we want to, when we see this in the game, we want to reward players and tell them. We saw they had the chance to take somebody's head off and they didn't. Let them know that we saw it and that they're doing the right thing. They do not have to punish the opponent. All they have to do is screen him, get in his way, slow him down. All different things. So you'll see here he has a chance on a swing pass here. The defender is looking at the running back, but then here comes the other offensive receiver to block, usually going opposite way. He's coming back towards the line of scrimmage. He's looking for someone in pursuit to hit. So your antenna should go up. You see this, these are the things you want to be looking for. Right now the running back's not threatened, so there's no reason we should really be watching the running back. Now you see at the last second, he kind of stops and just gets in the guy's way and just screens him and stops right here. That's a good job by the players to not commit a blindside block. And then you see at the end of the play here, kind of stands over and player jumps up. That's nothing. But we do want to get in there. Looks like officials heading up there right now to spot it. Hopefully we're using our words. But when we have a opponent in the other team's bench, we definitely want 2 or 3 officials in there to get him out of there. Especially this gentleman for the Eagles. He is the only player for that team. So we want to make sure. And nothing does happen here, but we want to make sure we get him out of there. All right, and there's another example on play 3 of what could be a potential blindside, and another good job by the receiver who decides not to punish. See right here, there's a potential threat right there. Steady stops, open hand, kind of holds him there. Nothing. Those are things that we want to commend players for. Instead of lighting him up from the shoulder and knocking him into next week, he decides to just be a gentleman. So good job, player. All right, on play 4 here we have an example of what would be a blindside block. It's going to be after an interception. And again, they have that opponent swimming upstream going against the grain. He's looking for someone to hit. You're going to see this would be the easiest one, but the guy's already ahead of him, so he's going to take aim at the next one that he can get, which is the guy in chase mode who has no idea he's coming. In the past, last year, that was a good block. This year, that is a foul. It's forcible contact from the side. Doesn't matter where it is, it's forcible contact. If it hits him in the head, it could be a targeting, but on blocks like this, if he hits him in the shoulder, we don't want to really think about that. We just want to make sure that we get these. Got to tell these guys that that's out of the game. They can't do that anymore. He could just run right in front of him and screen him and make the guy stop. Okay, so that would be an example of blindside block we want to get. Play 5 is another example of a blindside block, and this one is on a punt. Same type though, the interceptions, turnovers, punts, kickoffs. It's usually when you have a shift in direction from one end to the other on the play where you're going to have people going opposite the grain. On punts, a lot of times the gunners get out in front, and these some of the receiving team will just kind of hang and let them pass them so that they can peel back and then try to get them from the blind side. As you see, the gunners for the kicking team have passed them, and Pirates just kind of hang out. See, it kind of meanders over there. This guy right there. He's heading that way. He's getting ready to line somebody up. And of course, here it comes. It's not a block in the back. That's a blindside block. Okay, try to expand our vision, and let's not just focus on the ball carrier. Let's look at the blocks away. Play 6, we are going to talk about defensive offside and who's protected as far as the offensive lineman. The defender is heads up like these two are, then in the black jerseys there on defense. If they are heads up, the only person protected is the offensive lineman or blocker directly in front of them. By protected, I mean if they were to react to the defender coming in the zone. So if offense reacts to that defender comes in the zone, it would be a foul on the defense for drawing them off. Now they shift and they're in a gap. So now at this point, once they're in the gap, the guy on each side of them is protected. At this point, he's got on the left side, you've got two offensive linemen that are going to be protected. Just that defender's in the gap. On the other side, he's a defensive end. So just the adjacent, the offensive tackle at the angle, the corner, would be protected. So at this point, if defense jumps in the zone and causes a reaction by the offense, this would be a foul by the defense, whether they have contact or not. If they cause something if they get a reaction out of the offense, we're going to put it on the defense. Which we do here. Excellent job. Play 7. This is, just want to cover quickly so that coaches, players understand, and officials, hopefully you all know this as well, but on a free kick, an untouched ball by Team B, the receiving team, that is grounded in the end zone is a touchback. If the ball is touched at all, then the ball remains live. Okay, in this example, he touches the ball about the 7-8 yard line. So at this point, the clock is going to run. He's touched the ball in field of play. Referee starts to wind it. Now, players, coaches, understand there's no reason to have to panic in this situation. He never possessed the ball. He did not catch it at the 7 and then run back into the end zone. That would be a safety if he were to be tackled or take a knee there. This is a ball that was not in possession until he possessed it in the end zone. So he's doing the right thing by going and covering the ball, but he certainly does not have to run this out. He could just go back and take a knee once he possesses it in the end zone. Or he can certainly run it out, as he's about to choose to do here. So I just want to make sure coaches and players understand that when you muff the ball into the end zone, that does not make you have to bring the ball out. You can still cover it. You must cover it because it's live. And again, if the ball is untouched and it hits the ground in the end zone, we have a touchback. You don't see those very often, but just something to keep in mind. Okay, play 8. This is after a substitution. Remember, for offense to meet the pre-snap requirements, all 11 players must become set for at least 1 second. Then they can begin a shift. If they shift, they must reset. You can only have one man in motion, and the person who has gone in motion has to have been set for 1 second before they went in motion. Okay, so we've got a substitute coming in. We've got the right tackle here. And you'll see he's kind of looking around, never sets. Not a huge deal first game, but really, technically that is a false start. We want to be sharp. We get those things. It'll tighten up the formations and the line of scrimmage. So let's be diligent about getting what we need to get on the line of scrimmage when it's false start. Make them line up properly. Play 9 is going to be an example of an enforcement. We have a couple plays here where we misenforced penalties. It's okay. Most aren't going to know this, but just some good examples to learn from. We've all done it. We always want to try to have somebody who's the rule genius on the crew that when in doubt we can go to, but really this is on the entire crew. What we have here is a punt, and during the return, the receiver is face masked. He actually gets his helmet ripped off, fumbles the ball, and the kicking team recovers. Okay, no argument there. He rips his helmet off, right? Okay, understand the difference. This is no longer a kick play. It started out as a kick. The kick ends once it's possessed. So we now have a running play. Okay? Even though he loses possession of the ball, the 3-and-1 principle, you're going to go back to the end of the last run, at the end of the related run, which is where he fumbled the ball. There's no need to have to make the kicking team. Now, the good news is they backed up 15 and had to punt, so there wasn't much difference in any field position, but you would hate for them to have to re-kick or to have them re-kick and then they have a roughing the punter penalty or something, and now they have a first down when it should be B's ball at this point, with 15 added on from where he fumbled the ball. Good flag on the face mask, though. You see the next play. We were there at the back in the end to re-punt the ball. And here's another example of tough enforcement. This is a weird play. And there's a couple of options on this one, but you're going to see this one's a pass. We have an interception. And during the return, you're going to see back behind the play, we got a couple of scuffles going on. This first one, we don't get a flag down for. So this is something we want to kind of see. If we look at what our eyes are on this play, it looks like we're kind of ball watching here. So let's, especially on interceptions, punts, where we got all this chaos going on, it's important that we don't have all eyes on the ball, that we are looking for the snipers, the cheap shots, the people looking to do harm. Okay, so you see that cheap crap there is starting to knock him over, and over on the left there's a little scuffle starting there as well. So we've got two things that are going to happen. That guy's going to shove him down, and then you're going to have the brawl over here. Okay, good news is we got the one on the far left. Referee's looking right where he's supposed to. Perfect. Okay, so we've got, at this point, just one foul. But now you see here comes a second flag. Okay, we've got a guy with his helmet off, so clearly an unsportsmanlike conduct. Now that is a separate act that is not part of the play. If we can try to make this as one sequence of events, try to make it part of the play with the other scuffles, and make it just one, that would be the best option. This is clearly two sequences of events, so it's going to require two penalties. Now, the ruling on the field was offsetting fouls for both opponents behind the play that were in the scuffle. Okay, so remember, you have an interception. When you have an interception, offsetting fouls, there's an exception to offsetting fouls. You do not have to replay the down if the defense got the ball with clean hands. So if they'd fouled before they intercepted the ball, then the only option is to go back and replay it, offset the down and replay it. But because they got the ball with clean hands, had not fouled before they got the ball, they have the option to decline offsetting fouls. So at this point, they can decline the offsetting fouls and have the penalty against themselves enforced. So they would decline the offsetting foul for the scuffle against the opponent. They would have their foul for that unsportsmanlike or unnecessary roughness behind the play enforced back 15. And then you also have a helmet off, so you would back up another 15. Very rare something like that happens, but this is one where, because it was a separate sequence, we would enforce both. Most aren't going to know it. Still, we're hit with the 15. It's not a huge deal, but good learning play. And good job getting the flag down, referee. Okay, play 11 is just going to be a fumble, and this is just something. As officials, remember, we've got a close spot. We have a turnover things. We want to show some urgency a little bit. We do go crashing in there pretty good, which is great. We get in there, so I know we're using our voice. We're probably calling out whose ball it is. We're talking. Obviously, they're excited because they're running off, but no one points. No one points. In fact, I'm not even sure we stopped the clock. And so if the clock operator is truly doing their job, the clock's still running. So don't forget to kill the clock. Get in there and someone point. Pretend that blind grandma can't see. She needs to know whose direction it is. Okay, we got a couple of tough plays here. Same game, both quarterbacks, so we've got both sides, but one gets the other type of call. But they're really a little bit different situations. Both, I think, are in the end correct, but just good plays to learn from. So this first one here, you're going to see right here, he starts getting grabbed, jumps and starts to throw the ball. You can see the arm is going forward. And that's what the referee rules is. We've got an arm going forward. Now the difference is, though, right here, his progress is actually stopped. He gets pulled back another couple yards before he throws that ball. So the good news is we don't have a cheap fumble and a turnover here. That's the good news. The bad news is, instead of an 11-yard loss, they get to go back to the previous spot. So, and that's a tough get for the referee. Line of scrimmage officials, you guys can help with that, definitely. But when he gets spun around like that, especially if the ball comes out after that, that's real progress. Okay, defense actually makes a good play and has 6, 7 players around him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys all going to make a tackle or defending them. Let's not bail the offense out by giving them incomplete. But that's a very tough call, and at the end, I'm glad that we did not reward a turnover on that. So, tough one to learn from, but that's what these are for. So, the only thing I would add is if you're going to rule pass forward, go in and sell that a little harder. Okay, the next one, again, this is very similar, but the quarterback is going to lose possession of the ball right at the very end. And this one we rule fumble. Now it's tough on this one. It's very tough with the film, but it looks like you could see his arm. When his arm starts going forward, it's hard. I'm not able to tell if the ball is out and his hand is going forward with an empty hand, or if he's still got the ball and he's shot putting it. Definitely a tough angle right there for the wide hat. But the philosophy, coaches, owners, so you got players, so you know this, is if the ball's going forward with an empty hand, we're ruling fumble. That means the ball was out before his arm started to move. Very tough play. We don't have HD replay, so we're nitpicking here, but when in doubt, we're going to rule fumble on this, and which he does. He gets a beanbag down. Tough break, but it's a very, very tough call. Now, this is something I want to recap from last year. We had the same issue last year. Coach is not going down there screaming. That's the good news. He's not angry or anything that I can tell. He's not being demonstrative. However, he's out of his box. We've talked about this last year. Some of you are new. I'll just remind everybody. There is no reason a coach should be down there. I take that back. There's one reason a coach should be out of the box going down there. That'd be if they need a timeout. It's late in the half, late in the game. They want to get a timeout. Crowd noise, it's a factor, it's loud. Whatever the reason, we allow them to run down inside the 10 and tell us if they need to get our attention for whatever reason, we're not hearing them. That's the only reason. So, in this situation, if a coach comes all the way down, I'm not sure we even see him, but if he comes down and gets your attention, you just look to him and stop the clock and give him a timeout. And it's something I would pregame ahead of time and tell the owners or tell the coaches that you come down this far, the only reason you would be doing it would be for a timeout. So rather than flag it, we're going to just give you a timeout. Okay, last couple plays, both very good job by the official on this play, and the next one, very good job as a crew. Okay, know the threats and the risks. This guy is looking to line somebody up. Luckily, our deep official, Todd, sees it. He lights him up. Totally unnecessary. I mean, you could go blocking the back. I think the better thing is a personal foul because it's just so cheap. It's unnecessary. It's going to cause more issues. So good get, Todd. Good job. What we want to do after we've got that flag is let's take our time, take a breath, and let's make sure that we get in there and stop these players. You've got all kinds of players for red right up against white sideline. A player for white just crushed a guy for red. There's all these potential risks and incidents there. So we should have 2 or 3 officials in there. We can always get our foul to the referee, but let's dead ball officiate first. Let the colors separate. Luckily, nothing happens here, but the potential is there. So let's take our time, make sure the players separate, going away from the bench, then we can get our info to the referee. But very good call. I'm glad we got this. These are ones we want to get. job, Todd. Okay, last play. This is good job by the line judge, looking right where he's supposed to. Very tough judgment get. Not all the camera angles either. Very, very tight. What I like about this is he's looking where he's supposed to. He's holding where he's supposed to. And then I like the communication from the head linesman as well. When you're on the line of scrimmage, no longer does the line judge responsible for just the quarterback being over the line or forward, backward. Head linesman and line judges, you both have to be able to do both. So this is just a great example of crew communication and getting it right, in my opinion. From what I can tell, it's right. Either way, had you stayed with it, I think it's a good call because you're looking right where you're supposed to be, and there's nothing that would change that. But I really like the communication here. Quarterback's going to step right on the line and throw it. I mean, it doesn't get any closer than this. Jimmy's got his flag out, which is perfect. Charles is already coming in to stop him. Before he gets anywhere, he's already coming to catch him and tell him, hey, looked like he was right on the line. I'm not sure how the conversation went, but as you can see, the flag is waved off. He did a very good job. So I thought it was well done by the crew. And good job looking where you're supposed to be looking for the line of scrimmage officials. That concludes week 1 training video. As always, you know, you can contact me if you have any questions, concerns, issues. If you have any problems with Hudl, accessing anything, let me know. And for those working this weekend, have a great game. Lots of good games lining up already, and a lot of high expectations. So be safe out there, and have a good game.